Hey, let's take a break from all of the politics for a moment. Let's do something completely different, okay? I got an email from Chris with a K, by the way, which we're going to put up on the screen. And Chris said, hey, David, I know you aren't a self-help guy, but you seem to have some good habits. Can you list the easiest and simplest ways to improve health and well-being that you've come across? Well, listen, Chris is 100% right. I am not a self-help guy. I'm not going to be here to tell you about lobsters cleaning their room or whatever it is that Jordan Peterson is going to advise you. I will give you what I think are just some really low-hanging fruit that most people can do that in my experience will put you, there's this kind of 80-20 rule, right? There's people out there looking for the exact supplements and what's the right number of reps to squeeze into a 14-minute workout for maximum gain. And then what about taking apple cider vinegar with lemon and bathing in blue light or not blue light in order to sleep, right? You can try to get to 99%. But very often, 80-20 is where you want to be. And there are some really simple things that will get you like 80% of the benefit of a lot of this stuff. So this is just my opinion. I'm not a self-help guy, but here's just like a few things that I would say. First of all, walk 8,000 steps a day. If you can make it 10,000, even better, okay? You don't know how much you're walking. Most phones have a step tracker in them. I use a Fitbit that goes on my wrist. If you're walking 8,000 steps a day, every day, that is already going to put you in terms of mobility and avoiding sort of like a sedentary situation. It's going to put you ahead of 80% of people. If I look down, if it's 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock and I look down and I've only walked 5,000 or 6,000 steps, I will just exit my house if I have to do it after dinner when the baby's sleeping and just walk for 15 minutes to get to my 8,000 steps. I will do it. And I've been doing this for years. That alone is going to give you this 80% benefit with something that's super simple. Okay, in terms of diet, people will go and they'll say, what's the right type of oil? Now there's this whole anti-seed oil thing that's going on, but it's already been debunked. And what about keto and okay. For me, the simplest shorthand to eating what is probably a pretty good diet is to focus on getting 30 grams of fiber in your diet per day. How is this possible? How could that do so much? I think here's the reason why. Foods that are high in fiber, number one, tend to be less processed. Number two, they tend to be lower in saturated fat, although some of them have high good fats. If you are prioritizing 30 grams of fiber per day, you're probably eating a relatively healthy diet just because of the foods that have fiber, okay? So I know that there's a million diets and then people are finding a diet that's completely unsustainable, this, that, the other thing. Now I'm on blueberries. No, now I'm on acai okay. If you focus on just trying to get 30 grams of fiber per day, you are already going to be ahead of 80% of the American population. Number three, drink enough water. I find sometimes at 5 o'clock, I am not feeling well. And I'll think, oh my goodness, is it the virus? What is happening here? And then I'll realize I went to the gym at 2. I then had a meeting at a cafe where I had a coffee and no water. I haven't had water since lunch and I worked out and it's 5:30. I will have a glass of water and I will feel better very quickly. Drink enough water. I wake up in the morning, you know how you bring that glass of water to your nightstand and then you never drink it? The goal for me is I wake up and I have it in the morning. So drinking enough water, very, very important. Protect your sleep schedule at least 5 nights a week, okay? And by that I mean, if you know how much sleep you need to feel pretty good, make sure that your schedule allows you that sleeping schedule at least 5 nights a week. I try to go with at least 6 nights a week. If you need 7 hours and 45 minutes, then you got to figure out how to get there. How do you eke out enough time to be in bed and able to sleep that amount of time? And then lastly, read every day. What's the deal with this? Reading, what am I talking about? I'm talking about reading physical books, fiction or nonfiction, whatever you want. I read nonfiction during the day, fiction at night. If you are reading some number of pages every single day and it's useful stuff, good fiction or useful nonfiction, you are going to be learning so much more than the average person who's reading no books at all. I used to have a sort of like a minimum. I wanted to read 25 nonfiction pages a day and then some fiction at night before going to bed. I've recently upped it to 30 pages a day of nonfiction. If I'm reading 80 books a year or whatever it ends up working out to be, and someone else is reading 0, that's an insane leg up, whether I'm interviewing for a job or just for personal enlightenment and knowledge or being an interesting person with things to talk about. If I'm reading 80 books and you aren't reading any, that's going to create a big, big gap in enjoyment, in knowledge, in all of these different things. That's my list. And again, I'm not a self-help guy. Is there anything magical about 8,000 steps? I don't know. Is there anything magical about 30 grams of fiber? I think that's what's recommended, maybe for men, and for women it's a little bit less. I don't think any of these things are magic, but they're just the things I've found that are really useful to me. And almost anyone can do them with relatively little struggle. Let me know your thoughts. That's probably the only self-help type segment we're going to get on the show for a while.